Hello, I'm Jamie Bowling. Been helping out with the Epilepsy Alliance. I'm going to go ahead and give my story on the battle I've had with epilepsy. I had to write a lot of stuff down because I've been through a whole lot and it's hard to remember everything, but I will try my best here. When I first started battling with epilepsy, I was only a week old when I had my first seizure. I continued to have them throughout the years, but I think the next one, I'm sorry about the dogs here, but I was a teenager, and the next one that was noticed is most of them I had was when I was sleeping in bed. I would be sleeping with my head down. So whenever you have grand mal seizures, the foam comes out your mouth, and usually it's really bad when you're laying on your back. Everybody turns you on your side. So I'm very thankful and blessed that when the grand mal seizures I always had were when I was sleeping, but I slept on my stomach. So that helped out tremendously through the years. But I had another one at home when I was a teenager, and my uncle kind of helped out, but they just sent me to a regular family doctor who gives the same story. They don't really know what it was. I looked fine. The test results came back fine, so I continued to live my life. I met my wife and was married in 1996. That's when she started noticing them a lot more, because I was obviously in bed sleeping with my wife, so the seizures would wake her up. So that's when they started to be noticed a lot more. Continued to have them, and through the years, and my wife, I started seeing a doctor, and it ended up being down here at OSU when we moved down here. I started seeing OSU doctor in 1999, and that was obviously through the neurologist, and they put me on trileptal, and actually it was on Neurontin. I apologize. It was on Neurontin to start off, and I continued to see them, and doctors, said the same thing. I was getting a little better, but then that's obviously, like I was saying, it was at OSU. They switched me to trileptal and took me off of Neurontin, and the Keppra was eventually added because I continued to have seizures, so I had many more. And clear up through 2004 is when the doctor finally had sent me off to Cleveland Clinic because the seizures were getting worse, and I'd already had the EMU, went to the epilepsy monitoring unit down here in OSU, and they sent me to Cleveland Clinic because that's when they really wanted me to look towards having surgery. And so I went through all this stuff up at Cleveland Clinic, the same kind of test, and the surgery that they gave me is when I had 80% of my temporal lobe and some of my hippocampus removed on the left temporal lobe. And before the surgery, they told me there was a 10% chance that I would lose nouns, and I ended up losing nouns and battled with that very, very hard to this day. I do. And but after the surgery, I also was seizure-free. So I was slowly taking off my medicine and was seizure-free for quite a while until about 2010, I believe, is when some of the seizures started coming back. So, from 5 till 10, I actually was not even seeing a neurologist anymore. I was still working, doing great, still battling with the nouns, and actually seeing, I had to see a speech therapist and struggle with my reading too. So that was all taken care of, but like I said, it slowly came back. So I had to go back to OSU, and they also sent me back to Cleveland Clinic. And I also had to go back again, and they ended up putting me through a second surgery because the seizures had came back and were so bad. And the second surgery is where they actually put 160 some electrodes, not on the outside, but on the inside of my brain. They drilled little holes through my head and put them inside my brain. And that was to locate exactly where it was coming from, because at first at OSU, they had thought that the seizures had came back on the right temporal lobe, which they can't remove both your right and left temporal lobe. So I was sent to Cleveland Clinic, and when they had done that, they had thought that it was coming from the center of an inactive spot of my brain. So they went ahead and removed all those, and when they removed them, one of the electrodes ended up being dirty, and it infected, gave me a bad infection on the inside, and I almost lost my life up there in Cleveland Clinic. And it was called spinal meningitis. That is what I struggled with up there. And but I made it through, and I was able to come back home. And since then, I have been seizure free. And the theory from the neurologist up there at Cleveland Clinic is, this is your brain right here, and they put all those 160 some were put inside the brain. So when they took them out, it removes the outer layer of the brain there, and their theory is that I could still be having seizures up there, but when it tries to spread, it hits that spot, and that opening from the brain interrupts with the connection. So to this day, I'm still seizure free. They have me on all my medicine. I don't want to be taking off of it just in case. And I still struggle severely with the loss of memory, and struggle with reading still, and nouns especially. I struggle really bad with nouns. It was getting worse as I was working. So my neurologist had told me to go see a speech therapist and somebody else it's a neuropsychologist, I believe they were called. And she was the one who said I really needed to focus more on enjoying life and stop working so much, and just do what I can to stay strong. So it was hard at first, but I was taken off work, put on disability, and first year I really struggled, and I started looking at what to do, and that's when I found out about the Epilepsy Alliance, and I wanted to join them and help out with the kids who are going through the battle of what I've already faced. And it's very, very special and very important to me to be there to help those kids go through the battle and just stay strong with life, and stay strong, kids. That's my story. Bye.